3 days before the Dutch Grand Prix, George Russell stands in front of the cameras and shuts the door on the whole idea of team orders. Not even a consideration, he says. Not now. Not with the season only halfway run. At least, that is how it sounds on Thursday. Because on Sunday, with 6 laps left at Zandvoort, his own pit wall keys the radio and tells him to move aside and hand second place to the one driver already lapping him in the championship. And the man who said no just 72 hours earlier lifts off into turn 1 and lets him through. That order, and the gap between what Russell said and what he did, is the whole story of Mercedes' afternoon. So start with the call itself, because everything worth understanding sits inside it. Lap 65 of 72. Russell is running second, Antonelli third, and the order comes through plainly. Switch the cars. Let Antonelli past. Russell does not accept it quietly, and his pushback is worth hearing in full, because it is not a driver sulking about a place. It is a clean piece of racing logic. Norris is already gone up the road, the win out of reach, so second is the ceiling for either Mercedes, no matter what they do. Swapping the cars gains the team nothing at the front. All it can do is put 2 silver cars in each other's dirty air while both Ferraris close, and risk the whole double podium for a position they were set to hold anyway. Little to gain, plenty to lose. Made at racing speed, on old tyres, that is a really sharp read of the situation. And here is the first thing worth noticing. Russell is not wrong. He is right on the narrow question and overruled on the wider one. And the difference between those two is the whole reason team orders exist. Russell is playing for the car he is sitting in. The pit wall is playing for the team, and from the team's chair the two sums do not match. That is not a driver losing an argument to bad thinking. It is a driver overruled by a different set of goals, ones that no longer put him first. He makes the point. Then he obeys it anyway. Into turn 1. On hard tyres 26 laps old, he runs wide and gives the place to the teammate, beating him to the title. For the next 6 laps he is a sitting duck, no tyre advantage left. Lewis Hamilton right behind on fresher rubber, hunting the exact position the swap just put in play. Russell holds third to the flag, but he holds it by a margin, not by comfort, and the podium he stands on is one he was told to step down onto. So the swap itself is not the interesting part, and Russell was right that it changed almost nothing at the front. The interesting part is why a team would take on that risk at all, and what the decision shows about how Mercedes now rank their 2 drivers. That is the question this whole afternoon is really asking. The way this situation came about can be said in 3 sentences. A late virtual safety car, triggered by Esteban Ocon's stopped Haas, let Mercedes pit Antonelli cheaply for a 3rd time, onto fresh softs. Russell stayed out to hold track position, so Antonelli rejoined behind him, on far quicker tyres, with both Ferraris on fresher rubber closing on the pair of them. The fast car was stuck behind the slow one, and the clock was running for Ferrari. That is the whole setup, and it is the last of the race details that matter, because from that point on, this stops being a story about a race and becomes a decision about a pecking order. Weigh the decision the way the pit wall did. The gap between 2nd and 3rd is 3 points, Antonelli to Russell, if you only look at the 2 Mercedes cars. But that is not the number the team is protecting. What it is protecting is both podiums at once. Leave the order alone, and the 2 drivers race each other, scrub speed fighting through the corners, and hand Hamilton and Leclerc a live run at both silver cars. Swap them, and the quick car clears off up the road while the slow one defends a single position. One path risks 2 podiums to please one driver's pride. The other banks both. With a Constructors' Championship lead to defend and 2 Ferraris in range, that is close to the obvious team choice, which is exactly how Toto Wolff frames it. He calls it the logical consequence, not a favor, not a compromise. There is a built-in reason the driver's maths and the team's maths pull apart, and it is the split between the 2 championships. Mercedes as a whole competes for the constructors' title, which is decided by the combined result of both cars, so a locked-in 2nd and 3rd is worth more to the team than a 50-50 gamble on 2nd with a crash risk attached. Russell, as one driver, competes for a driver's title he is already 59 points out of, so the only thing of value left to him on the day is his own finishing position. The team is playing the standings that pay its bills. Russell is playing the pride he has left. Those are not the same game, and when they collide, the team wins, because the team owns the car. The threat that forces the call is real, rather than just talk, too. McLaren have just made a clear step, big enough that Norris ran Antonelli down and took a win the rookie had looked set to hold. When a rival finds that kind of pace mid-season, A pit wall stops asking which of its own drivers wins a place and starts asking how it avoids losing any, and that change in thinking is exactly what turns a free race into a managed one. Wolff's reasoning is worth a closer look because it quietly says the team's real pecking order out loud. Antonelli, he points out, had been running ahead of Russell before the stop. He did not need to pit. The only reason he ended up behind was a strategic call the team made on his behalf. So putting him back into second is not handing him a place he had not earned. It is undoing a shuffle the pit wall itself caused. And Mercedes, he adds, were never going to sit there losing time with their own two cars racing while the Ferraris breathed down their necks. Strip the polite words off that, and it reads as a plain statement of rank. The natural order is Antonelli in front. Russell being ahead was the odd result, and odd results get corrected. Notice what that way of putting it does to Russell's whole weekend. If Antonelli in front is the way it should be, then every lap Russell spent ahead of him, the qualifying, the sprint win, the track position he held deep into the race, turns into noise to be tidied up rather than a result to be respected. The team is not weighing two drivers on the day. It has already fixed the ranking, and the day is only where the ranking gets used. Now set that against Thursday. Asked point blank whether he would accept team orders to help Antonelli win the title, Russell said it was not even a consideration at the moment. Look closely at that sentence, because those last three words are doing quiet work. At the moment. It is a no with an expiry date built in, the kind of line a driver gives when he wants to look defiant without actually promising he will never give way. It read as a firm no on Thursday. By Sunday, it looked more like a maybe, and the team did nothing to fix it in the meantime, which is its own small tell. When a team boss really means to race two drivers freely, he says so. Mercedes let it stand and kept the option open. There is a routine to these pre-race denials, and everyone in the paddock knows the dance. A driver in Russell's position says no team orders partly because he means it, partly because it plays well with fans who want a fair fight, and partly as a marker put down in a contract talk he knows is coming. The statement is as much a pose as a principle. What makes this one sting is how little time passed before the pose was tested and found hollow. Most drivers get a few races of cover before their denial is found out. Russell got 3 days. That is why Wolff's defense afterwards is worded so carefully. He insists the Zandvoort call is not a U-turn on his position about team orders, and on paper, there is room to argue it. A one-off position swap forced by a safety car is not the same thing as a season-long number one policy signed into a contract. But the difference is thinner than he needs it to be. On Thursday, the team was happy to let Russell tell the world there is no such policy. On Sunday, it used one the instant the points went live. The space between those two positions is the whole story, and Mercedes are standing inside it, insisting there is no space at all. It is a line teams reach for every time, and it usually holds just long enough to survive the press conference. The reason it matters here is what it says to the man in the other car. Russell can take a single safety car swap as bad luck. What he cannot unhear is a team that let him deny a policy on Thursday and then reached for one on Sunday, because it tells him the denial was never really his to make. Because once you strip away the radio drama and the safety car timing, the order is really a status report. And what it reports is this: Mercedes, in practice, already have a number one driver, and it is the teenager, not the proven Grand Prix winner. That is the reveal buried inside a routine strategy call, and it is worth sitting with, because it flips what this lineup was supposed to be. Look again at who was asked to move. Russell came into this season as the favourite inside that garage, and he did nothing across the Zandvoort weekend to give that up on the track. He out-qualified Antonelli, lining up second to the rookie's third. He beat him in Saturday's sprint and clawed 3 points back. On raw pace over the weekend, Russell was the stronger Mercedes, and he is still the one told to give way. There is only one way that makes sense, and it is the championship. In the title fight, the picture is already settled. Antonelli went on a run of 5 straight wins, took the lead clean off Russell at the Japanese Grand Prix, and reached Zandvoort 59 points clear of a teammate sitting third, behind even Hamilton. The driver built to lead this team is now the third best bet in his own title fight, and the team is scoring by the standings, not by the stopwatch. There is a sharper edge underneath it. Antonelli is not the safe, proven pick a team usually protects. He is a 19-year-old, the youngest podium finisher in the history of the sport, in a rookie season that has lurched from a 5-win streak to a rough patch through the European races and back again. Choosing to shield him with a team order is a bet on his path, on where he is going, rather than where he sits. Mercedes are really saying that the driver they build around is the one they believe wins them titles for the next decade. And they are willing to make a race winner show that ranking in public, in the closing laps, on live television. That is the true weight of the Zandvoort call. Not a place, a pecking order confirmed on air with everyone watching. And a number one in practice is not a one-race label. It changes how the rest of the season is run. It decides who gets strategic priority when both cars are live, whose race the pit wall builds around the next time a safety car scrambles the order, and eventually, whose side of the garage the upgrades are aimed at first. Zandvoort did not create that pecking order. It only made it impossible to keep denying, because the team acted on it on live television and then defended it on the record. The voices defending the pit wall understand that perfectly, which is why every defense is built around the team and never around the driver. Nico Rosberg on Sky does not treat the order as harsh. He treats it as obvious. The team is under threat, he says. And when it is, both drivers drive for the team. Then he reaches into his own past, remembering that he once had to let Hamilton pass in Monaco, even while the two of them were fighting each other for the championship. Coming from a man who won his own title in this exact team, in this exact kind of teammate standoff, it lands as a verdict. He admits Russell had a fair point about the risk, then sets it aside, because in his reading, the point was never really the issue. Driving for Mercedes means driving for Mercedes first, and a former champion is telling a current one that being angry at the order is just the entry fee. Set against that, watch how fast Russell's own position collapses in the walk from the cockpit to the microphone. On the radio, he is fighting the call. Minutes later, in the media pen, he is backing it. Kimi was ahead of him anyway, he says, so he deserved to finish ahead. Of course you want to fight for every position, he adds. But on fresh tyres, Antonelli would have passed him regardless. So it was the right decision, and he is glad to be on the podium. The anger is gone, filed down into the language of a driver playing a longer game. That reversal reads two ways, and the useful part is that both are true at once. The generous reading is maturity. A long shot swing of a few points is not worth a public war with the team that builds his car, and will build it in future title fights. So he banks the goodwill and moves on. The colder reading matters more. A driver only calls it the right decision to step aside for his teammate, once he has quietly accepted that the teammate is the one who counts now. Russell did not simply concede a place at Zandvoort. He signed off on his own ranking, twice, first on the radio and then at the microphone, and the team let both stand without correction. By the numbers, Mercedes will tell you it worked, and on the scoreboard, they are right. Second and third. A double podium rescued from a race that could have unraveled into fourth and fifth once Norris cleared off. 23 points each across the weekend with the sprint counted, and the constructors' lead over Ferrari, stretched by a further 15. The Zandvoort result even knocks Hamilton out of the championship runner-up spot behind Antonelli. Every hard call landed the biggest haul, and that is the version Wolff once remembered. But the number that sticks is not on the scoreboard. It is the 72 hours between not even a consideration and let Antonelli through. That is how quickly a stated principle becomes a working policy once a safety car and a set of softs put the fast car behind the slow one. And there is a cost that never reaches the points table. The timing sits badly against the fact that Russell is still working out a new Mercedes deal that is not fully done. A driver about to talk terms has just watched his team spend a Sunday afternoon showing, in public, which of its two cars it plans to build around. And it is not his. That is not leverage. That is the opposite of leverage. There is a first now too, and a first like this inside a garage does not fade when the champagne dries. Once a team has asked its supposed lead driver to move for the rookie, and defended it on camera within the hour, the second time costs it nothing. Wolff has already pointed to Monza as a track where the question may not even come up. High speed, strong for the Mercedes engine, easy enough to overtake that Antonelli can make places up on his own with no order needed. Convenient, if it holds. But Monza is not the real test. The real test is the next time the two silver cars are running first and second in a race that matters, with a rival closing, and the pit wall has to decide again which of them is the driver. Because Russell has now shown both the line and how quickly he steps over it inside a single weekend, he said team orders were not a consideration. Then he considered one, argued against it, and obeyed it, all in one afternoon. Antonelli leads by 59 points and climbing. Russell is unsigned for the long term, and the team is quietly treating a title fight it calls open in public as already decided. The order at Zandvoort was never the surprise. The speed of the surrender was, and the only question left open is whether he even bothers to argue the next time the call comes.